Money 2020 President Tracey Davies. I mean, historically, a Fintech conference.
Yeah.
And not just in America, Fintech meaning banks, financial institutions, payments, but there is pretty much a central theme this year, which is artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, I think it's not a new topic this year. You know, we've been doing this for, 10, 12 years. So you see the topics bubble up for a few years, and then they go stratospheric. And I think this year we're stratospheric, right? It's everywhere. But I think there is a shift. I think what we're seeing this week here at Money 2020 in Las Vegas is from hype to reality, which is one of the sessions.
Meaning what? That
we're
people in the
talking
room
about
are customers there?
Yeah, no, that we're really talking about the adoption now. We're talking about the practical use. The conversation has moved on from, I guess, the theory to what people are actually doing. So to give you an example of this, we've produced a report this morning with our friends at Acrew Capital that really is looking at what people are doing. So there's benchmarking and indices in there. And 76% of companies have done an initiative in AI. Now, 44% of that's coming from the top 10. So, we're seeing real stuff happening, and I think that's a lot of the conversation this week. But you're right, it's the big topic here.
The headline names are OpenAI CFO Sarah Fryer, and also Danielle Amodei, President of Anthropic. Anthropic actually probably more interesting because much of their customer base is enterprise, not the consumer. How much pressure were you under to get those two as your kind of keynote speakers? And where did the pressure come from? I mean, there must be people in the room interested to hear from them. Well,
I think, it's interesting because more than 20% of the applications to speak this year were on the topic of AI. I mean, it was, 5% last year, something around that. So it's grown. So if the topic is big, so then, Money 2020 is the place where the whole ecosystem comes together. So you need the biggest names. Now, we're known for the biggest names. We've done that since the beginning. So, you're going to put OpenAI on the stage. You're going to put Anthropic on the stage. We have leaders across all of the fields. So we were delighted to welcome, Sarah Fryer was one of the opening speakers, Daniela later, this very morning. So, they are the big names. I mean, and people want to hear from them. And, if we heard from Sarah Fryer last night, a lot of, great stuff. That room was packed.
She was kind of reflecting on the idea that it's okay. Some people in the audience, whether in the business context or as individuals, probably haven't worked out yet how they're going to either use a large language model or generative AI tool or build on top of it. That was kind of her main takeaway.
I mean, there's more than 10,000 people here this week. There's going to be a spectrum of people who are really just trying to figure out what they're going to do. And there's people, as in the report, you're going to have people like Chime and JP Morgan and Block who are, way ahead. So, we cater for everyone. You have to. This is a massive industry. We have the whole ecosystem from the smallest startups to the world's biggest banks here. So there is always going to be a spectrum. And I guess as the runners of this event, we have to cater to lots of different levels. There will be people who are kind of masters level, in the topic. So you've got to pitch it across. That's why, there's 350 speakers talking across the topic, not just, Sarah and Daniela, obviously, but of course, they are two of the leading names.
This is the US edition. We're in Las Vegas, Nevada. And that's kind of my exposure to Money 2020. But there is, it's global. There is an edition of Money 2020 in Europe, in Asia. So what happens next, based on kind of the early feedback you've had on AI being the focus, at least in this American leg?
Yeah, I mean, so you're right. I mean, we started here in Las Vegas. This is our original show, and now in Amsterdam, Europe, and Bangkok, Thailand for Southeast Asia. Look, we've already done Thailand and Europe this year, and AI was a big topic at both of those, but then we come here to our biggest show with the biggest names and the topic. And what we do after every show is reflect on what we've learned, what we hear, and then it moves on and evolves till April next year is Thailand. It's a long time from today in terms of the speed that this industry moves at, but I think we're still going to be talking about it. I think we're obviously Gen AI is everywhere, but let's not forget open banking, I think, is rivaling Gen AI this week as the double-header topic that everyone is talking about. So there is a lot on Gen AI, but there is also open banking. Now, open banking, obviously we know in Europe has been around for a bit longer, but it was the talk of last night. So I think we've got two really big topics, which makes it even more fun, let's be honest.